In this game, you have to control this man's face because he is unable to form facial expressions naturally. You use his facial expressions to interact with the world around you, and they react accordingly. His name is Will, and he has a very hard time expressing emotion. The game starts off in his apartment, and it is very apparent that Will lives a very lonely existence. Will begins his day practicing facial expressions in the mirror so that he can fit into normal society. This in turn acts as the game's tutorial. You then get a phone call, and the voice on the other line asks you why you haven't been using the phone they gave you, and then tells you Father Lawrence is dead, and to meet them at the train station. Then the other phone rings, and this happens.
Please, I beg you, let me back in.
He then has to take out the garbage. On the way down the stairs, you see a missing person sign for a Tanya Kennedy. He then interacts with the concierge of his apartment. She mentions there are a lot of crows around the garbage. Crows are known to gather around the dead, so we can conclude that Will has been throwing away some body parts of some kind. Then it's off to school for Will. At the school, we come across a memorial for Tanya. Then Matt Hurley tells you that Mike is upset with you and that you need to look out for him. You then come across a group of students that ask us where Tanya is. They suspect us of her disappearance, and that a Martha is going around saying that you know where Tanya is, and she is currently talking to the principal about us. We then go and find Ellie Cooper and trick her into giving us information about where to get Martha's keys and address. We then go to confront Martha on the rooftop. When Mike catches up to us, it is revealed that Mike is Tanya's boyfriend, and believes we know where his missing girlfriend is. After calming Mike down, Will mentions that the universe has better plans for him, which really pisses Mike off. He then throws Will off the roof of the school. We then end up in a hospital, which I believe is the afterlife for Will, with a doctor being Dr. Hades, representing the god of the dead in Greek mythology. We then come across Lila and Will. Lila is identical in appearance to Tanya, the missing girl. Will then asks her where she goes when he stops visually imposing her. And she says that she stops being, and that it's not a big deal because he does it all the time, when he sleeps without dreams. We then end up at a gateway with a veil that gives Will a sense of nostalgia. Then the game goes into first person with Lila being just an image on a projector. Then you get onto a boat and go down a river, which I believe represents the river Styx, which is the river of the underworld in Greek mythology. This is one of the many endings and paths you can go down in this game, as there is a huge mystery to unravel. Like a visual novel, you gain more knowledge and revelations as you go down other paths in the game. The game explores some really obscure philosophical ideas, such as a tulpa, which is an entity that is manifested with the mind. Through intense concentration and spiritual practice, they are basically an imaginary friend come to life. With their own thoughts and personality, while this game has surreal moments, you get to see some elements of normalcy throughout. Without spoiling too much of the game, nothing is as it seems, and I actually found some of the characters in this very relatable. This is a very well-written horror mystery adventure game with a very unique gameplay mechanic. And while this game has its surreal moments, this next game is the most bizarre game on this list. We're in an open meadow with a strange woman, known as She. And in the distance we spot a rose. We decide to pick it and give it to the woman. And then this happens. And now we enter the gut, the game's main antagonist and location. We start off in one of the game's many loading screens, a grungy, grimy apartment. Then teleported to floor 0. You start face to face with she, who's looking a bit under the weather, and tells us that it took her away and dragged her to the grave of meat, and locked her away with 1,000 locks, and that she's waiting for you in the place of flowers and blood. We then have to make our way through a very disgusting wall made of meat. We realize that we are in a disgusting, moldy office-type hallway that looks like it's from the 50s. You can hear disembodied voices and phones ringing in other rooms. After the gut begins mocking us, we find an axe and a map that looks like a possessed Etch-a-Sketch. The gut tells us to hit ourselves, which is one of the game's many weird mechanics. Then tells us that we can eat that sharp axe we picked up because it is made of meat. I found a fish head and ate it, and it paralyzed me, and the gut was sure to mock me about my decision. I then found the key to the elevator and got attacked by a potted plant. We then reached the elevator, and now the procedural generated levels begin. Floor 0 is a tutorial area that sets up the story of the game and also teaches us about some of the game's many odd game mechanics. By no means does it prepare us for what this game has in store for us, because even now, after playing through over 50 levels, I still have no idea what to expect. On one level, I came across a toilet with a talking poop, which told me to give it gold to restore my health. I don't even know what the fuck this thing is. Or that. That is some kind of band music thing. While the game does have its moments of horror, it really isn't meant to be taken seriously and has plenty of moments that are so weird it creates a comical feeling. It's a roguelite experience with power-ups and random generated levels. There are random generated NPCs on each floor that can help you in exchange for gold. The map mama sells you her children for 10 gold. The vending machine sells you food, and the gut is telling me that this item is 100% health and to eat this, so I'll throw it in and it was poisoned. When you die or find one of your girlfriend's body parts, that was a sentence, you end up in a hub world that looks like Morrowind. There's a talking bike, these little bastard mushroom people that steal your gold, and this thing. Is it shooting ants on him? This game is really bizarre, but this next game is not only bizarre, but it is also the scariest game on this list. Our story begins in 1998 in Connecticut. It opens up with a cutscene in a diner. Rebecca Owens is finalizing her internship at River Fields, working under her former teacher, Raymond Delver. Upon mentioning to her grandmother that she is working at River Fields, her grandmother grows very concerned, because she's heard the place is haunted, and then gives her some type of pendant which Rebecca is reluctant to take, but eventually does. And with that, we head off to our first day at work. Upon heading into the workplace, we are greeted by the corpse of Mr. Dalton, which Raymond instructs us to take into cold storage, and to retrieve Mrs. Page. After switching out the corpses, it is time to get to work on identifying the various marks on the body, which is a very useful game mechanic for later.
These old windows never stay latched.
After logging into the computer,
You'll die here.
What was that?
I didn't say anything. You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry.
that was weird. Well, let's just get this entry done, printed and then filed away. Now we will begin the process of embalming. First, we're going to need our needle injector and some needles. Say cheese. Now we're going to need some eye caps so the eyelids stay shut. Now we will mix the chemicals in the embalmer, and one of the bottles just flies off the shelf. Raymond is very quick to make up some excuse about how the chemicals haven't been stored properly, so they just fly off the shelf sometimes. After mixing the chemicals into the embalmer, now we need a scalpel, some forceps tongs, and some tubes to hook the corpse up to the embalmer. And now we watch the corpse get its blood drained out. Now we have to inject cavity fluid into the corpse's stomach. Now it's time to clean out the embalming tank, then wipe the corpse's face off.
Tell you what. Why don't you go ahead and head out?
Okay, seriously, Raymond, what are you hiding from us? Back at her apartment, Rebecca is talking to a friend. She is worried that Raymond may not want to hire her based off of his abrupt ending of her orientation shift. But then Raymond calls and says,
Hey, Rebecca. It's Raymond.
Oh, hi, Mr. Delver. Look, if I did anything wrong today, just...
No. I wanted to apologize. You've done a fantastic job. I'm just not feeling too well. That's actually why I'm calling. I know it's late, but we just got 3 new cadavers, and no one else can make it in right now. I was hoping you could come in and take care of them.
Upon coming back into work, Rebecca sees a strange thing outside the window.
Right. Guess I'll head...
Then Raymond calls.
Hi, Rebecca.
Mr. Delver, I need help. Someone's outside the mortuary.
Just try to stay calm. I know you're scared. I'll unlock the door in a moment.
What?
This is very sudden, but listen to me. We have to start right away. I'm sorry. I didn't know until it made itself known this morning that it was here, let alone bound to you. I had no way of knowing the possession had started.
What? Look, this isn't funny. Stop.
You need to take this seriously. The only way to save yourself is to banish the demon before you're too far gone. To do that, you will need to learn the demon's name, bind it to its chosen body, and burn it in the retort.
So yeah, we have to identify a body that is possessed by a demon, and then we need to burn it, while also fighting off possession within ourselves. This mechanic of getting fully possessed if we don't act quickly to identify the corpse that is the source of the demonic possession creates a sense of urgency in the player. And also, while you are rushing to embalm the corpse in hopes of identifying the correct one, random scary events will take place to further distract you. The game reacts to what kind of player you are and will throw events at you based off of how you play. I found that I try to ignore the events and keep working, so a ghost showed up and turned the lights off. I found on the computer that there are some really good tips for how to identify the corpse, and there is also a really creepy video that Raymond recorded.
Alright. This working? Yeah. This thing is huge. So, I guess, this is David. Raymond, this feels insane, but I think you were right. This has happened a few times now, but let me see if I can get in here. There it is. Fuck.
If you decide to play this game, all I can tell you is good luck, because you're going to need it. And also, if you get this game, you will be rewarded with a good amount of replayability because of the random events that are different each playthrough, and the multiple endings you unlock based off of your choices. I just want to say thank you for watching, and goodbye.